Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's installments of Conscious Conversations. I'm really excited to be introducing Lucy Lawrence Bell today. She is my second lady guest on the show, which I'm very, very excited for. And she's got such a beautiful story, which I'm going to let her go into in more detail, because I really feel like it's much more powerful coming from the person themselves. But just to give you a bit of a background, Lucy used to be an ex-lawyer, and she was basically moving through life on autopilot, and she realized that it wasn't for her. So she ended up looking to find her own way and getting out of that rat race. And through the journey, her and her partner invested in an Airbnb and started making money in that sense. She's very big into the LGBTQ community. She is very big on mental health as well. And she's also been diagnosed with ADHD as well. So she does have a lot to tell, a lot of experiences and a lot to give. So I'm really, really excited for Lucy to come out today. So welcome, Lucy. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm really, really good. Thank you. I'm really excited to see where this conversation goes. So
Yeah.
Just dive right in. Tell us your story, where you want to start.
Sure. Okay. So you summed me up really well there, actually. So I think my strap line is like, I am sharing my experience of depression and anxiety as an ADHD pansexual woman. And I really got into that kind of online world and talking about my mental health because I'd reached a point in my life where I was really struggling with my mental health, but I also couldn't talk to anyone about it. Like, I was just too ashamed. So it was like this vicious cycle of being like, I need help, but I can't get help. So yeah, you're spot on. I used to practice law. So I was two and a half years in that job. I qualified as a solicitor last September, and I was in a practice area that I felt like it was quite wholesome morally. I wasn't doing any like dirty corporate deals or anything like that. It was all kind of public sector, a little bit fluffy and friendly on the surface, and then underneath it turned out there was loads of crap going on. So I was just like, no, that's really not for me. I worked really crazy hours, which is like totally common in most kind of corporate law jobs, and my hours weren't the worst at all, so I can't complain too much on that front. But because I was spending like literally five days a week, but kind of like 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. average, if not more, on a job that really just didn't serve me and didn't fulfill me and didn't meet my values either, I just started to like kind of go down the slippery slope of feeling really unfulfilled, and then that led to me getting depressed. So that's how I got into what I do today, basically. So I ended up going off sick in October 2021, and I'd already had like a few weeks off in the year previous to that, so August 2020, and I'd come up to the Lake District with my partner for a mini break, and that was when I was like, I want to move to the Lake District. This is where I see us being in the future. And I'd lived in Manchester city centre during COVID, which was like, cities have got everything to give to you when you can actually go out and enjoy them. But when we were stuck in a flat for like months on end, it was just like, why are we here paying this extortionate rent and not being able to do anything like at all? So yeah, so we moved up here in June 2021. And I think because I got so much kind of on my plate, so much going on, like just qualified as a solicitor as well, it was like, whoa, too much change in too little time. I was burnt out. I was doing a job that really didn't fulfill me. And that's when my mental health was just like downhill. So I was already like taking antidepressants by that point. But by that October, I was just like totally burnt out, very anxious. And yeah, I couldn't motivate myself to get up and do anything pretty much. My saving grace was my kittens. One of them just walked in. They kept me company. I was like at home just cuddling them, like, oh, you are the beauty and the joy in the world right now, and I love you. So yeah, in January of this year, I actually got up the courage to just be like, no, I'm going to resign. I'm done. And that was the best feeling ever. Like, it was just like release, and all that relief off my chest, off my shoulders. And I was like, yeah, I can do whatever I want. And part of the reason that I started to write actually about like my experience, and especially about being ADHD, is because my diagnosis process was a little bit unusual in the sense that it was my partner that noticed it first. So she was training to teach at the time. She was doing all the SEN like training, and she was like learning about ADHD in kids, and she was like, this sounds so much like you. And so that had planted that seed in my brain, and I was like, maybe it is something we should look into. And then this is when I was still working, and I was like, this could explain why I just don't fit in with these people at all. Like, my brain does not work the same way as theirs. You know, they'd go on about something, and I think most people would just say the same thing, and that would be what they'd expect them to say, and I'd say something literally totally off the wall that they weren't expecting at all, and then it'd either be like, oh yeah, that's interesting, let's go with that, or what are you on about, like, just stop. And it was so liberating, like being like, oh, actually maybe my brain is literally just different to a lot of people's out there. And so I've got this passion to just like start talking about that. And I think as soon as I started to own that label, I was like, yeah, let's talk about everything. Let's talk about what it's like to be depressed. Let's talk about what it's like to be anxious, because I knew that I was not the only one that was going through that. You know, I knew it. And I'd reached out to an executive coach for lawyers called James Allen, who's on LinkedIn, and he'd put up a post in, I don't know, like early January 2022, I think it was, or late 2021. And he basically just said something along the lines of, lawyers, you're living unconsciously. Like, you're just going through the motions, you know, you're not feeling what you're feeling, and you're not kind of committing to yourself in this journey, which is so true. It was like, yeah, that resonated with me entirely. And so I reached out to him and I mentioned it, and there was something else that he'd said about how there was misogynism within like the legal profession, and I was like, yeah, this guy gets it. So we had a really good call, and then he was like, do you mind if I write about this on LinkedIn? And I was like, sure, yeah, keep it anonymous, but I'm happy for you to. And he did, and the response was like amazing. He just got so many, he got a lot of like male lawyers reaching out going, oh, this is unacceptable, this can't continue. And then he got loads of women that were just like, oh, my heart goes out to her, this is not okay. And so then I messaged him and was like, do you know what, James, I'm happy to put my name to this, I'm gonna do it. So I shared it and was like, I'm the lawyer he's talking about, hello. And yeah, I got so much support from like women across all different like areas of the profession. I got the odd man. It was really interesting. Like, I think the LinkedIn algorithm was also slightly working against the men here because I just got like, out of several thousand impressions, maybe like one or two men engaging in it. And I was just like, right, okay, so people actually want to listen to my story. And yeah, so all of that I've just thrown at you was kind of how I got into doing what I do. And then we connected in like, was it July, August this year?
Yeah, I only started to become really consistent since the end of July, so it was probably around the end of July.
Yeah. And I remember you sent me a copy of The Magic, and I was like, whoa, who's this woman who is so nice to just like send me a free ebook and be like, I think this would resonate with you.
By the way, if anyone wants that ebook, reach out to me.
Yeah. Just a little plug there for The Magic. But yeah, I mean, I'd already started to kind of like get into self-growth and personal development, because I knew that that was just an essential part of my journey and like my healing. And so sending me the magic it had come literally at the perfect time, and I was like, yeah, oh, I totally resonate with this. And I was like, what a rock star, thank you. Yeah, and then when, oh my gosh, it was a few weeks ago now that I started with the grey shift and started my Enagic business, which is so exciting. And yeah, waiting for those products to come. Yeah, so there we go. That was a very like quick whistle stop tour of my life and why I do what I do. Yeah,
thank you so much for sharing. Absolutely fantastic. There's a couple of notes that I took down. Bear with me, let me just shut my program here. It keeps bleeping, and that's annoying.
No worries.
There's a couple of notes that I took down off of the back of what you've just said. Thank you for sharing all of that. I want to go back and just touch upon like where you mentioned where you was unfulfilled in your job, like you were just burnt out and you were drained off of the back of it. And that's typically what happens. Like we go into these jobs in our Western society, and we follow a road of success that's been mapped out and laid out to us by a system, a schooling system, a corporate system, and a way of, this is successful. This is what it is to be successful. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and get a house, get married, have kids. That's success. When it's like, who decided that? I didn't decide that. But most people go along with that because everyone else is doing it. It's human nature. So if anyone's watching this feels like they're in that situation right now, like you're not alone. So many other people are in that situation. I was in that situation 5 years ago when I decided to make a change for myself. Lucy was in that situation before she decided to resign and start moving towards what it was she truly wanted. And you know, what you want is out there. It's just a case of taking action towards it. And you know, when like I fell into the banking industry and I was just like, yeah, banking, good industry, I'll be safe.
Yeah, and then you get made redundant and you're just like, what?
yeah well, you know, I was really fortunate because I had already started my online business, so I had something to fall back on. And I really feel like I manifested that redundancy anyway, because I was like, I want to take my business full time, and then this redundancy came and I was like, thank you, universe. But it's really proof that we're not safe in jobs anymore. There's no job security. And I truly believe that if we want to create the security that we're seeking, we really need to take control of ourselves. And that's the beauty of the particular business model that I started out in 5 years ago, that you've just started as well. So yeah, it's like when we're following something that someone tells us is success, is the right thing to do, when we're unfulfilled, and you know, most of the time it doesn't feel our heart and soul's calling, that's going to drain us. So I've no surprise that when you did resign, like there was that massive lift and shift, because it's like there was this like sheet on you basically of, I don't like my job. And then it's goodbye, I'm free.
Bye. It was like freedom, literally freedom. And I think, for me as well, I had done like a summer scheme. So I'd actually had that job since I was 20. So I only started it when I was 22. Because there was like, I got to finish uni, I got to go to law school and stuff. And I was like, you know what, 20-year-old me thought this was a good idea, but I think by the time I'd started it, I was already kind of in a position of like, shit, this isn't what I wanted to do. But you know, you don't want to disappoint other people, so we are told. So I just went along with it. And honestly, like, had it not been for COVID and for the fact that we went like working from home, and in the first lockdown I was in real estate, so my work just dried up overnight, I think I would have burnt out sooner. So like it's remarkable that I even got to where I got to, because I just got this gut sensation that it was not right. And I mean, like, it was the scariest thing ever, going to my parents and being like, yeah, you know, that thing that I've been doing, I'm not doing it anymore, sorry. But like, you've just got to own it and do it for yourself, because at the end of the day, it was me that was like wasting all of my 20s in work all the time. It wasn't my parents or anyone else for that matter.
And the thing is as well, is like we put so much pressure on ourselves because we've invested so much time into things. And it's not just with a job, it's with relationships as well. Oh, I've been with them for so long, I've been doing this for so long, I can't give it up, blah, blah, blah. But if it doesn't make you happy, then why stay? Because at the end of the day, if it's not making you happy now, if it hasn't made you happy for years, then it's not going to make you happy in the future. So something needs to change. Like, it's your body's guidance system, like the fact that you're not feeling good and you're not feeling happy, to tell you, hey, something's wrong, let's change things here. And it's not like it's a waste either, because we've learned and we've grown and we've realized what it is that we don't want, what we don't like, how we don't want to be, how we don't want to live. And it's just that simple perspective shift that really changes things. And as human beings, it's a normal thing to grow and evolve and to change and to want to do different things, and to approach things differently. So like, it's just a case, like you said, of just owning it, of just taking it on board that you want to change things and just doing it.
100%. And I think for me, finding that empowerment, that like strength for my inner self to just step up and be like, no, we're doing it our way, was, as you said, it was like ripping that sheet off and I was just free and revealed. And I think that I could tell, like, there were so many people that I was working with and so many like friends that I've got in other jobs in other areas of life, and they're just going through every day on my autopilot, not really feeling fulfilled. And like, I don't blame them at all, because they're doing what they think they should do. And it's kind of like, it's quite sad in a way, that you're like, I just want you to be able to like listen to your inner self and your guidance system, but you can't hear it right now.
Like, everyone's on their own journey, and this is what I've realized over my journey, because of course we want to help as many people as we do, but at the end of the day, like, it's hard enough to help ourselves. So to try and help someone that's not ready and that you know, doesn't want to listen, you know, it's just a case of leaving them to do what they want to do and leading by example. And when they're ready, if they become ready, then they'll come to us and ask us for help, because they'll see the transformation that we've personally made by choosing ourselves. So the best thing that you can possibly do is to help yourself and move yourself forward, which is what you're doing. I mean, since you joined the Growth Shift, which it wasn't even long ago, it was what, like 3 weeks ago, I think. Like I've just, the action that you've taken and everything that you're doing, you just absolutely blow me away completely. So
this is the ADHD in me. I don't do things by halves. I'm just like either or nothing.
I love it literally. And it's part of that makes me think, do I have ADHD? I've never really looked into it.
To be fair, so there is so many, especially women, because like all of the research was done on like white boys, and so you've got this idea that ADHD means that you're like bouncing off the walls and just screaming and being really naughty, when it's like something totally different, especially in adult women, because you've learned your whole life to just mask your symptoms. So you're like, for me, the hyperactivity, like I can't sit and watch a film or something unless I'm like fully immersed and like super focusing on it. So this is where I'm like, I need to get a surround sound system at home. This is why I need to start a business, because I've got all of these things. But like, that's just one example where I really struggle, because my brain's going bidding, 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 bidding all the time. And unless it's something that's really interested in me and makes me feel good, I just can't concentrate on it for very long at all. And I can't sit still either. I don't know whether you have that, but I'm just like,
oh no, I can sit still.
That's good. You might be more like my partner then, because we think she isn't diagnosed, but we do wonder whether she's ADD. Like she can just go off and have a little daydream.
I get distracted very easily.
Yeah.
And I go off on tangents a lot when I'm talking. And I do get really hyper at points, but then like my energy's all over the place, so I don't know.
No, but it might be something worth exploring, because I get quite bad like ADHD paralysis, where I'll just like sit there and I'll be like, oh, like my brain's like, you're not moving now, sorry, you're stuck. But my body inside is like, I really want to go and do something. And so it's like this fight between my brain and my body. And the best way to get out of it is for my partner to just be like, come on, and literally drag me up, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it for sure. There's something else as well, like sharing your journey. Since you've started sharing your journey, how has that personally been for you? And the reason that I ask is, like, since I started my business 5 years ago, I've been sharing my journey from day dot, and I started building a personal brand before I even fucking knew what a personal brand was, just by simply sharing like what I was doing, what I was going through, and all of that stuff. And I'm also very open, very honest. I love to share what I'm learning. I also love to share what I'm going through, and I'm cool with getting vulnerable and getting deep to the points. And I'm not the kind of sharer that bleeds. So like you can bleed, and there's a lot of people on Facebook there's a lot of people on Facebook that like to bleed. They love to bleed. And you know, if you want to bleed, cool, but the way that I sort of share my journey is I like to call it bleed and put a plaster on it. So like I'll write, and I use my writing as like a processing tool, and it's kind of like my therapy. So I'll write and I'll go through everything that I need to go through. First I'll process it in my mind, and then I'll write, and it helps me process more. And then what I'll do at the end is I'll like flip it around, so then through my journey it helps other people. So I'm bleeding and sharing my vulnerabilities and my shits and struggles, like, hey, I'm human, I've gone through this is what's happened. And then I'll put a plaster on it. And it's really helped me personally on my healing journey, because I'm getting that out. I'm releasing whatever emotion and whatever thing needs to be released. And also, if anyone's ever involved in the situation, I don't sit there and bitch about them or whatever. It's all very respectful, and I take full ownership of like my feelings, and I don't blame anyone else because I put myself in that situation. So it's really sort of helped me process and heal in that front. But it's also been a healer for me, because through my pain and through my shits and my struggles, and through me finding power in that, it's also allowed me to help other people, because people actually have read it and they've listened to my voice and they've listened to my message, and they've reached out to me and said like, wow, like you've changed my life, like just by sharing what you share. And there's a particular guy that became connected to me on LinkedIn a couple of months ago, and just via him looking through my content, especially on YouTube, like he quit smoking like that.
Amazing.
And I don't talk about, like, I don't tell people to quit smoking. I'm not like quit smoking. That never comes up in my content. But he's like, Mel, like you made me quit smoking. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is really cool. So what I'm just like curious as to what sharing your journey has done for you, to see whether there's any similarities between us, or if there's been something else that it's helped for you as well.
Yeah, sure. So I definitely use writing as therapy. It's so great to just put it onto paper, and I find that sometimes for me, like I can be very aware of the emotion, I can probably be slightly aware of what might have triggered it, but when I write, I get to almost crystallize it, and then I'm got a clear idea on what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, and what I can do about it. And what I can do about it is what you said, it's like putting that plaster on it. Because for me, if I bleed all over my socials, then that's all I've like, what's the point of that? I could do that in private. If I then say, and I'm going to do this about it, or I've already done this about it, I also hold myself accountable to that. And I'd like 100% need to be accountable, even if it's literally just to my social self. Like, if I've got something somewhere that says, and I'm going to do this about it, or like I've done that, and then I'm like, oh, Lucy, if you've just told like 1,000 odd people that that's what you're going to do about it, you should probably do it. Not that I think that anyone's like got CCTV in the house and's like checking up on me, but you know, it's just that I can lead by example. So I'm going to, and I think for me, it's almost like journaling. It's like online journaling. Yes, it's a way of going, oh, hang on.
Hello.
Sorry. Hello, Bo.
Oh my God. Marie's cat, Marie in the growth shift, her cat always does that. Beanbag walks across.
So that was Bo. I've got two of them.
Amazing.
Bo that's stripy, and Bear, who's like more of a kind of torty markings. He's going to go behind my screens now. Yeah. Anyway, I was saying about like my journey and sharing online. Sometimes it is about just being like almost a review system for me, and being like, okay, so these are the things that I'm putting in place. How do they actually make me feel? Like, I talk a lot about going cold water swimming, and for me, that is honestly just such a powerful experience.
I can't wait to do that with you. I'm like really looking forward to coming to visit and doing the cold water swims with you. It's going to be so much fun.
It's so good, honestly. And like, I got introduced to it by a charity that's up here that literally just like takes people out to the water and teaches them how to do it safely. It's so nice and like wholesome. And then at the end, you get to like have a chat, have a hot drink, and just the community aspect of it's amazing. But I know that's good for me, but sometimes I can get into a bit of a rut where I'll be like, oh yeah, I haven't gone for like a week and I don't really know why. And I'm like, do you know what? If I'm going to go, I can take a picture and put it on social and talk about how great it is. So it's like that kind of kick up the arse that I need sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it really is just about if I help even just one person realize that there's stuff that they can be doing for themselves that's going to help them to feel better, then that's job done. Like, just that one person, that's enough for me. Yeah.
And you know what, you've sparked me wanting to read something that I wrote earlier, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Because this is, I believe, something like the majority don't do, and it's not their fault, because quite frankly they haven't been taught, and they haven't been taught because if we knew how to effectively and properly lead ourselves, then we'd be much stronger, and it's harder to control a strong population than what it is to control a weak population. Now, I'm not calling anyone out, and like, I'm sorry if that's triggered you, but the majority of the population are weak, and again, it's not their fault, it's just because they haven't been taught the right tools. And this is why I do what I do and share what I share. This is why we're having these kinds of conversations to plant seeds. So it's like it starts something in hopefully the majority of people's who's watching this mind. So yeah, this is what I wrote earlier. When I was struggling mentally with depression and anxiety, I wasn't leading myself. Learning how to lead myself is really what changed the game for me. Having no real direction that suited my heart and soul is what led me into the pit of darkness and despair, because I felt inside that I had no control over my life and where it was headed. Once I realized that I had full control, I started taking the steps towards it. And then once I started to notice my growth and achieve what it was that I wanted, then my pit of despair started to transform into a pool of possibilities. You see, once we actually make the decision to change things and then keep doing the things day by day to make what it is we want happen, things become magical, especially when we see the seeds we planted 18, 12, or 6 months ago start to bloom. The dreams you want are waiting for you to plant the seeds, requiring you to water those seeds day by day until it gets to the point where you can pick the fruit.
Well, that is so beautiful. And I love that, the pool of possibilities. 100%. Yeah.
And
because
like, go on. Yeah, go.
no,
Sorry.
no, you go on.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. All I was going to say was, you're just spot on there with society wants us to stay in that pit of despair, because that's the way that you get workers to just keep signing up to something they don't want to do. And because they feel like they have to, because they've got debts, they've got bills to pay, and they haven't got any support from the government, which is very like telling at the moment. But everyone's got access to that pool. It's just a case of stepping into it, literally, as you say, planting those seeds.
And for people that are watching as well, that are in despair when it comes to finances and debt, seeing as you brought it up, Lucy, what really helped me, because when I started my journey, I was in 32 grand's worth of debt. Like, I couldn't afford to pay it because my partner fell off the face of the earth, and he was supposed to help me pay half. But that happens when you split up with someone that doesn't, whatever. Anyway, so I was advised to Stepchange, Stepchange. This is for the UK only. And for anyone, what's it called? So this is for the UK only, and it's a free charity for debt. So you can like pull it all together, so it's not as stressful, and like you can work out what's best for you moving forward, so you can basically take the load off of your back. And it really helped me. So if you're looking for that kind of support, Stepchange is amazing. I'm going to put the link in the bio for you to look at. And for the US, Green Path. For the US, there's also one called Green Path. Apologies, I haven't got one for the other countries, but I'll put their links for you to look at, because that's one of the biggest things that really stresses us out, is finances. And if we can get them sort of intact and like in control of our finances, it just takes so much off our mind, for sure. And like the sooner we really start to realize and zoom out of what's actually going on in the world and in society, and the control and the system, and like seeing it for what it is. First, it's like, oh my fucking God, what the fuck's going on? And then you go through this like, because the illusion's been lifted. And then it's like, then you get angry and you're like, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe I fell for it. And then it's like, well, I can't really do much about it. So I just got to lead myself and do myself. And then it's just like, I'm living my life. Come and join me. I can help you. It goes through these stages, which has been a really interesting thing for me, and to also see other people going through the stages and understanding that's your part of the journey. But yeah, interesting. You also mentioned about the coach that you saw saying that all lawyers were living unconsciously, and that jumped out to me, because I was like, it's not just lawyers, it's the majority of people.
100%. And I think of, so like, how can I say this in a way where it's not obvious? So my partner is trying to teach last year, right? And she came across someone in that journey who was 100% living unconsciously. And like, this person had really pushed themselves to get up to a more senior position. They were still quite young. I love that person's ambition. That's amazing. But this person was not living. They were just going through the motions. And it was like really starting to have quite a damaging effect on their mental health and their mental well-being. And then that started to spill over into the people around them as well. So like for me, I was fortunate. I was in a position where I was just a junior lawyer. There was no one that I was responsible for other than myself, really. And so if I felt crap about my job, that was on me, totally on me. Whereas if you've got a manager that feels crap about their job and is like therefore ruining everyone else's time at work, like you've just got to be like, what are you doing? Come on, this is your life. You can live the life you want to. And that might be in that job, but then you've got to make sure that you are leading, not just sort of dragging everyone behind you.
Exactly. And it's like I never really had a job where I was leading people, but I do completely connect with how it overspills into the rest of your life, because when I was living unconsciously and when I was unfulfilled, it would overspill into my relationships. And that unconscious living created toxicity within me, because I was living unconsciously, I was unfulfilled. I was struggling with the depression and anxiety and unprocessed emotions from childhood, with everything that I'd gone through with, like, you know, family issues and bullying and bad relationships. You know, when you don't know how to process the emotions, they become stuck and trapped inside you, which then in turn creates toxicity and then self-hate and detrimental things and like judgment on other people, because you're constantly judging yourself. So it really overspilled into other relationships because of the toxicity that I had inside me, because I was unconscious to the way that I was feeling and the way that I was living. And this is something that really people really need to like become aware of. And this is why I'm so passionate in the work that I do, not only within the growth shift, but within like the personal brand that I'm building and everything that I'm teaching in my coaching and stuff. Because once we do become conscious of the way that we're feeling, and you know, not just in our jobs but in our relationships and within ourselves, once we're aware of that, then we can put things into place of, okay, well, I'm not feeling good, I don't like that, where do I want to be, what do I need to do to get there, and then taking the baby steps to get there. And it really is a journey, it really is, but it's definitely a worthwhile one, because you feel more alive. You don't just feel like a drone going through. Like, I remember when I was traveling to work on the tube, I used to work at 1CP Canary Wharf in London. And like on the tube, everyone's just like, ooh, like just like walking along like phones. And I'd started my personal development and spiritual journey. So I'm walking along like, hi, like this fucking bubbly pink haired smiley person. And like people are like, oh.
Yeah, on the tube, that is just like, it's the best example, isn't it, of people just like going through it and literally not there at all. Like we did a little photo shoot recently, me and my partners. It was like so random. It was through one of our Airbnb guests. She was a photographer and was like, I'd love to photograph your love story, and it's like, oh, free photo shoot, 100%, like let's do this. But there was one thing she said to me, like there was some pictures we were taking and I'd got quite tired by this point, and she was like, come on, you're giving me dead eyes. But that's the thing, like when people are living unconsciously, you've all got dead eyes. You can just see it in people. And like I know that I was in that position, and if I'd looked in the mirror I probably wouldn't have seen it myself. So it's it's no criticism to anyone, but yeah, it's just you're spot on, like, and people kind of start to look at you like you're absolutely like barking mad when you're there, like, hello, hi, have you tried reading this book and this book and this book? Like even my partner, I have to like really try. At the moment I'm reading a book, it's called Meditation for Creativity, and it's really, really cool actually. Like I had no idea there was so much research behind how like having regular meditation practice can enhance your creativity so much. And she's an art teacher, so I was like, this is something that you'd really benefit from. So I've been trying to get us to like have couples meditation every day basically, which hasn't happened so far. So that's still a work in progress. But like yeah, even with her, like I know that she's fairly tuned into these things because I don't shut up about them. But yeah, it's just like so easy to get caught up in the wheel and just be like another wheel that you don't like. Yeah, you just don't make space for it in your life.
Well, it's more like, you know, it's natural for us to go for safety. People would rather choose safety over happiness because safety is known and they know that they're going to be safe. So if the happiness that they're seeking is unknown, straight away their ego's like, no,
Yeah.
so it's like, stay away. And it's like, no, it's weird. But it's like, since I've started this journey, and I'm sure that you'll agree, let me know if you don't, but like since I've started this journey of truly like dropping into my heart and soul, and like really tuning into what it is that I want, what makes me happy, what do I want to go for, and going for it, even through the fear, even through the unknowns. Like I've never felt so alive in my life. And when I was in that 9 to 5 slog of, yeah, I'm gonna get a salary every month, I've got sick pay and benefits, and like I was not alive. I was selling my soul for a salary. Like it was just the same old, same old. In my case, it was eat, sleep, work, rave, repeat. And it was just over and over again. And since I've started this journey, like I've really come to like grips with everything that's me. I've embraced everything that's me, past, present, and future. I've completely like shifted everything, and I've never felt as alive. I've never been as happier, healthier than ever. And like I've created everything that I fucking want, and it's still coming because I chose to go into the unknown. And yes, it's fucking scary, like every level scary, but I'd rather be scared and alive than not scared and like always complaining about everything. Like you hardly ever hear me complain anymore.
So true. It's so true. I love it. And like you ooze life as well. It's not just that you're like, I'm alive. Everyone around you can tell you're alive too. And that's what made me be like, yes, she's on my vibe. I've got this. I love it. And that's like, as I've been on the growth shift as well, I'm like feeling more and more alive. It's amazing because it's one thing being like, I'm going to show up for myself every day and I'm going to write about my mental health and mental health content, and I'm going to do loads of reading and like work on myself. But I think once you're part of that group and part of that community where everyone is trying to do that, you're like so much more motivated to just go for it, even though it's scary. And it's that thing of just embracing the fear and stepping into it rather than just like being like, oh, too much, too scary, not today.
And like when you got in contact with me, you were like, right, I'm ready to move forward. And then when we had our initial startup call, I think you told me on the startup call, you was like, oh, you know, I was sitting there thinking about it. Was it 5 days? Was you sitting there?
Yeah. I think I watched your free training like 4 times, and then I was like, you just need to do something. You're not like you know what it says now. It's like you can basically deliver it yourself because you've watched it so many times. So just do it.
You did it, which is fantastic. And now you're here, which is amazing. And for anyone who's watching that's wondering, like, what's the growth shift? What is this business? So the growth shift is a community. It's more than just the community. It's an entire support system. It's for individuals and entrepreneurs growing internally to create a better future. And within the growth shift, there's also an option to start a business within the high ticket affiliate marketing world, which is what Lucy decided to do, which I'm really excited for. And the beauty of the model that we follow is that we don't need to promote or sell any products directly, and the business is solely based around our own personal brand because of the automated sales funnels and selling systems that we use. So however you came across this video, if it came from Lucy's network, please do reach out to Lucy and ask Lucy for more information because she'd be more than happy to share it with you. If you came from my network, then reach out to myself. I'd also be more than happy to share information with you. So whether or not you're looking for a community of growth-minded individuals that want to help and support you on the journey, we have weekly group coaching calls. There's a mindset coaching course in there, and Master Your Magic. There's so much in the community, like it's crazy. And then if you also want to start an online business and break free from the mundane life of the 9 to 5 and find fulfillment however you want to find fulfillment through building your own personal brands, through your passion, your purpose, your message, whatever, then we're here to help you do that as well. So that's just the basic outline, but there is more in-depth training and information, so just reach out to us for sure. But yeah, Lucy, I'm gonna have you out here again. It's coming up to the hour, so I respect your time, and I also respect our beautiful viewers' time. But yeah, it's been beautiful. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy, and yeah, I can't wait for like everything that the next few weeks and months are going to hold. I'm so excited, and I'm gonna geek out when I get those products. You'll probably just get loads of like random videos of me drinking water.
Oh my God, like literally, like such a simple lifestyle change, right? To like radically transform your health in all which ways, like mental, spiritual, and financially. And that's what we're all about as well. That's what the values of the company is about, is like metaphysical health, physical health, and financial health. That's why the compensation plan's so good. And then mixed with the growth shift, we're all about emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, and financial. Did I miss anything out? Mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, no, all of them.
That's everything.
So all of it mixed together with community, a global community. It's just like, it's just like a dream come true.
Like, oh, my dreams have come true.
I know. And like the biggest thing that we need right now, in my eyes, this world needs is we need to get control of our health in every single aspect. B, we need to get control of our finances in every single aspect. And C, we need more community and more support. And this is the solution to it all. And I'm so grateful for the internet and technology, because it's allowing us everyday people to break free and create what we want to create. So yeah, like I'm really, really grateful that you've chosen to join us on the journey, Lucy. Thank you.
I'm so grateful that you have this journey, that you like led me down that path. It's amazing. So thank you. I'm so grateful to have this conversation. It's been amazing, great fun.
Is there one last thing that you want to say before we end the call, like a piece of advice that's just coming through you that you want to give the viewers?
Yeah, sure. So I would say my best piece of advice is just listen to yourself. You've got all of the answers right here. All you've got to do is just like turn up the volume on them.
That's given me goosebumps. That's such an amazing piece of advice. And a lot of the times where like we listen to this shouty part and we let our mind hold us back, and what we really need to listen to is this here. And it's a quiet whisper, and the more we tune into this quiet whisper and the more we listen to it, the louder it gets and the easier it becomes to listen to it. And at first it's fucking scary, but the more we lean into it and the more we see that everything works out as it should, and the universe is always looking after us, and everything happens as it needs to for our growth and ascension, then it's so much easier to say, yeah, heart and soul said this, I'm going for this. It doesn't make sense, but I'm doing it. And everything falls into place. So thank you. What an amazing piece of advice, Lucy. You are fantastic. Viewers, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to say, please comment, please like, please share, please subscribe. And if you want to find out more about the growth shift and the online business that we were discussing, please either reach out to Lucy and myself. We are here to help you. Have the best day. I love you so very much.